All right, welcome back to another edition of the Loaded Radio podcast. Good to have you here with us. You know what? A good show this week. I'm going to be talking with Ash Costello, who is the frontwoman for the band New Year's Day. Killer band out of Anaheim, California. Been around since 2005. And a lot of people introduced to the band via the WWE and their appearances there when it comes to wrestler Rhea Ripley. And the band just dropping their 5th studio album called Half Black Heart. And kind of a cool thing too is it's kind of a reunion for the band, with Ash being joined by Nikki Misery, Jeremy Valentine, Brandon Wolf, and Trix Daniel. It's a strong album too, man. And they're great live. Ash, thanks for joining us on the Loaded Radio podcast. And how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, great. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today here on Loaded Radio. Do appreciate that a lot. I also got to say, I'm a really big fan, man. I really dig New Year's Day. I love the stuff of the new album. It's killer, man. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. And I think it's really cool that you got the original lineup back together. You got Trix back in there. You got Jeremy back in there. You got Brandon back in there. How did this come together?
So back in, probably 2018, the Wolf brothers, they joined the band fairly young. I mean, we were all younger, but, touring is hard. It's people who don't tour for a living will never, ever, ever fully understand the depth of the emotional and physical tax that it takes on you as a person to do touring. And a lot of people do touring for a year or two and they'll decide it's not for them. And that's fine. That's fair. And they had decided, maybe we want something more stable. We want to get jobs at home. We don't really want to tour. So we, as much as that hurt our hearts because they're family, we were like, yeah, of course, do what's right for you. So they did that for a couple of years. And then they reached back out to us. And we're like, we are over that. We miss you. We want to tour. So we're like, get on over here. Get back in here.
I read somewhere that you had mentioned that it's really bringing back the essence of what you guys had started out doing with New Year's Day. Do you find that was really prevalent with this album?
Yes. So the last album, Unbreakable, we did that album right after Jeremy and Brandon had left the band. And Jeremy is such a unique guitar player. Like when I hear a riff written by Jeremy, I know it's by Jeremy Valentine. He's incredible. And he was a big part of us coining the New Year's Day sound on Malevolence. He wrote that Killer Be Killed riff, which really put us on the map.
Yeah.
I remember people were really kind of like, wow, there's a girl doing this. Like, whoa. And not that there wasn't heavy girl bands at the time. It's just this specific genre didn't have a lot of female representation in like 2015. So when he left, he still helped write the record a little bit, Unbreakable, but for the most part, it was just me working with outside songwriters. So I feel like, yes, it was New Year's Day, but it wasn't fully New Year's Day. So when he came back and we went into the studio for this album, it felt like we went back in time and forward in time at the same time. It felt like we went back to Killer Be Killed, but it evolved forward. And I feel like Vampire is a really good representation of that. It feels like Killer Be Killed, but grown up.
You mentioned the song Vampire there too. I got to bring that one up. That one, when I first heard that tune, it kicked my ass, and I thought that was just so cool, man. And I mean, a lot of people were introduced to that via the WWE when you did the appearance there, which I want to get back to. I'm going to circle back to that. But tell me about the song Vampire, particularly how that came about, like the writing process, the creation of that song.
Well, some songs take years. Our song Come For Me, for example, was a 2-year writing process. Not like we worked on it every day for 2 years. We kept going back to it. And a song like Vampire happened in a day. It was just so easy. Oh, it was so easy. I mean, we tweaked on it for weeks. We would tweak here and there. But for the bulk of the song was just like, you just vomited it out. And it came out so easy. And it's such a Jeremy Valentine riff. That riff is straight from the so talented and weird brain of Jeremy Valentine. And I fall in love with his riffs. I think they're so special and so unique. When I heard that riff, I was just like, if I don't have that riff in my life forever, I'm gonna kill you and everyone in this room.
Yeah. And it really is a great, powerful. I know exactly the riff you're talking about too. It's great. I mean, it's got pound to it, man. It's really cool. Getting to the title of the album though, Half Black Heart is where did that come from, and is that meant to be sort of a theme with the album? Is there where did it come from really?
Well, it's sort of a theme with the band and like with my life, really. I've always been kind of a half and half person. I've always adopted the idea that I don't have to be any one thing. You know, I don't claim to be a saint. I don't claim to be perfect. I don't claim to be anything other than just better, trying to be a better person than I was yesterday, which is, I feel like, what we're all just trying to do. And in that way, Half Black Heart to me is universal. You know, we're all just doing our best. And sometimes we might be more sinner than saint. Sometimes we might be more guilty than innocent. Sometimes we might be more evil than angelic. And that's all right. It's all right. We don't have to crucify somebody. It's always represented the duality of me. And I've had that album title in my back pocket for a long time. And it just finally felt like the right time to use it.
Yeah, and it's a cool as well album cover as well there too. I dig that, with the the heart and everything. It's perfect graphic for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we actually really got our first taste of the album. I guess we could even go back to 2022 with "Hurts Like Hell."
Yeah.
Right. So, what about that song? Where did that one come about?
So that was early on in the writing process. We did not even have a record to speak of it when we released that. It was just such a fun song. We were so antsy after COVID that the label was like, if you guys want to release this song now and then get back in the studio and finish the record, like, just go ahead. So we were like, yeah, F it. Let's just release it now and have some fun with it. It wasn't meant to be like something groundbreaking on radio or something like that. We just wanted to have fun. And it ended up doing super well, which is how these things typically go. So, we just wanted to have a good time with that song. Just enjoy being back out there after 2 years of nothing.
Certainly. And I do want to bring up one more song here because I really dig this tune. The song Secrets. I really like that one. What can you tell me about that one? No problem.
A lot of people have been bringing up that song. Even though we released it, it's just like kind of a track that's in the dark. We just kind of released it. We were like, okay, we'll move on. But a lot of people are resonating with it because I do feel like it's the most honest I've been on a song and the most vulnerable. It was really hard to open up about my vulnerability on this topic with a room full of songwriters and tell them, like, I think there's a lot of secrets being held from me in my life, and it's painful and it hurts, and I feel like I'm being buried in it. It's suffocating me. And I had to kind of tell all these guys my relationship problems. And I'm glad I did, because it's very therapeutic when other people message me and go, that song really resonated with me because I'm going through X, Y, or Z, and it's making me feel good. And so for me, it's therapy, really. I
did want to ask, who produced the album?
So the same two producers we had produced the previous album, we split, which is very uncommon. Very uncommon. Producers don't like to split credits on albums, but we go right down the middle with an incredible producer named Scott Stevens, who has the #1 song in America right now with Daughtry, Artificial. A very talented man. I'm very blessed to have him in my corner. And then Mitch Marlowe, who's responsible for bands like In This Moment and a lot of our other favorite bands. So Scott is incredible at mainstream rock, classic rock, traditional rock, and Mitch has that weird sensibility that is kind of like Jeremy Valentine. And when you mix the two together, it creates a sort of a duality. It creates a magic. It creates something unique. And so everyone believes in the project so much that everyone's willing to share.
Now, I did want to circle back to this. I said I would explain the relationship between the band and the WWE. I mean, you guys have done a couple of things with them, and I think it's really awesome. I think you guys suit it so well. How did that sort of come about?
So the way we got in touch with WWE was a total accident. Long story short, I was doing a songwriting session with a pop writer, and he looks at me and he goes, I don't get you. He's like, no offense, you're great, but I don't get this type of music. And he goes, there's two guys down in a studio down the hall who do metal. Like, do you want to just go knock on their door? So I did, and we ended up writing a song called Done With You on our last record. And the guys go, we love your voice, we love your energy, we write theme songs for WWE. If anything comes across our desk, can we call you? And I was like, yes, absolutely. So a whole year goes by, and they call me and they go, we've got a new wrestler, she's coming up on NXT, her name is Rhea Ripley, she's really into metal music, and we would love to have you sing her theme song. And I fell in love with Rhea right away. I mean, we're talking the early stages where she didn't even have 50,000 followers. and was just starting out in NXT, but I was in love with her. And I said I'd be honored. And so I laid down some tracks with them, and I was the theme song ever since until very recently.
And you guys appeared, I think it was a Halloween Havoc. You guys did Vampire, which was very cool as well. Was that sort of all part and parcel with that thing?
It kind of comes and goes. You know, we are very close with the people at WWE. Yeah. We talk to them on a weekly basis. We love them very much. I'm sure if we could do stuff with them every week, we would. Yeah. But, you know, we have to kind of pick and choose that's why the Halloween thing, we're like, you guys are great for the Halloween. Let's get you in there. Because I was like, I miss you guys. Let's do something. So, you know, I know there'll be more in the future, but the way WWE works is it's always ever changing. So it's always very last minute. Like even WrestleMania was like, we still don't know the storyline. We don't really know where it's going to go. So like, hang with us. And like a few days before WrestleMania is actually happening, they're like, all right, here's your tickets, get on the plane. You're like, oh, okay.
Right. Just quick random question. Did you happen to cross paths with Vince McMahon at all while you were doing anything?
There's pictures of him. There's was a photographer taking photos of us when he shook my hand and told me I did a great job. And
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Were you intimidated by Vince? Was he like an intimidating presence?
I was intimidated by all of it.
Oh, were you?
By all of it.
I wanted to ask as well, like, how do you find, you know, being that you've been on the road with such bands as, you know, In This Moment and Hailstorm, both having, you know, much like New Year's Day, very strong front women. Do you find when you hit the road with these guys that there is a bond there with these bands?
Yeah, but we're a very bondy band. Like we tend to bond with, you know, pretty much all the bands we've toured with. We've stayed very good friends with over the years because it's just we're known as we're the band's band and we're the party band. So like on the last tour, we're the bus that everyone comes on to if they want to party and bro down. Right on. So we're just always that band.
Again, you mentioned some of the friendships that you'd made out there on the road. Like, what are some really standout bands some really great experiences for you being a New Year's Day that really, you know, come to mind when you think back at your time being on the road?
That's too loaded. I mean, I'm gonna have to write a book. I've done everything from Be Let Down to how boring the RAMMSTEIN after party was to
really
to having to pull my mom off of Gene Simmons backstage. I mean, which sounds bad. That sounds bad. She was just really excited to meet him was all. She was just really excited. And but
the RAMMSTEIN party wasn't fun though. It wasn't that great?
Most boring backstage party I'd ever been to, and I was expecting so much more.
I have heard such different. I mean, well, at least in the media you read differently, but I had no idea really.
Boring.
Boring.
So boring.
Now, what is your process personally for writing new material for New Year's Day? Do you do it as a collective? I know that you've got Jer back, you got Brandon back, you got Trix back. Now, do you write as a collective with these guys, or do you sort of bring things in? How does it work?
I let the boys do their own thing and bring me stuff, and then I will also send them inspiration or ideas and let them run with it. But ultimately, I'm like a director or composer or the more artistic visionary of the band, where I will take all those things and start piecing them together for an album. It usually starts with me kind of putting together a vision board, an album title, maybe some song titles first, and color scheme. I mean, when I sent in my like 12-page vision board to the label, and I was like, here's the color scheme, here's the texture scheme, here's the message I hope it visually is giving. You know, I'm very specific, and then it just starts to take on a life of its own.
Do you find that metal today has become more open to having a heavier female quotient represented, like not even just in the front woman spot, but I mean, you have bands like Thunder Mother, you have the Gems, you have like I mentioned Hailstorm. There's a lot of great females in metal today. Do you think that's been more widely accepted today?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I started doing music when it was we already have a girl on the roster. We already have a girl on the festival. We already have a girl in rotation right now. We checked that box. We don't need any more. But now I feel like there's the ceiling has been removed. And now it's like, even if the list or the category or the lineup is female dominated, no one's batting an eye now, which is great.
For you and your vocal delivery, I mean, you've got a very strong vocal delivery, man, whether it be, you know, the harsh vocals, the guttural stuff, or whether it be, you know, melodic. What do you do to prepare, and like what kind of training do you have as a vocalist? Because your voice is very intense and it's incredible. I mean, it really, really is.
Thank you. I've always been a belter.
Oh yeah.
I'm a natural singer. I did start taking singing classes when I was about 5, but I just have a natural belty, strong voice. That's just God given. And as far as my control, it's just something I've worked on over the years by mimicking my favorite singers. Like, I feel like I was taught to sing by Billy Corgan and Freddie Mercury and Adam Lazaro and Gerard Way and Burt McCracken. You know, I was very always inspired by singers that had a lot of personality and style in their voice, and maybe a little less technicality.
Sure.
I'm just not a fan of like a typical singy voice. I'm more like things with style and texture.
I wanted to swing back around how, you get the original band back together for New Year's Day, and which I think a lot of people are really excited about and really happy about. But I mean, between the time that the band did came back and that they had left, there were quite a few personnel changes within the group. Why do you think that was?
We've just been a band for a long time, and being in a band is hard.
Yeah.
It's people want to settle down. They want to have girlfriends. They want to get married. They want to have real jobs, or maybe there's a family issue. I mean, there's a million reasons why over the years. That's like asking, well, I see you've dated a couple guys in the past 20 years. Why do you think that is? Like, because sometimes things just don't shake out that way.
No,
much as we wish it could, but having them back is great though.
Now, is that the plan? The plan is obviously just to stay together rather and move forward as this collective?
I go with what the universe tells me to do.
Yeah. I get you. For sure. Now, as a prominent figure in the rock and metal scene, how do you navigate the challenges and stereotypes often associated with the genre that is heavy metal? Do you find that you have to deal with that much?
No, I don't really feel like there's much stereotype that I see in my present life. I mean, maybe like picketers at a Ghost concert is probably like the most.
That's hilarious.
That's like probably the only thing I can think of where people are having some sort of opposition towards. I feel like metal is pretty mainstream now. I mean, it's pretty mainstream.
Do you feel that metal as a genre is on an upswing? Do you think that it's starting to sort of make somewhat of a comeback?
My trip a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, but do you feel that it even did flounder at some point, or do you think that it's always just sort of been there? Or
no, I feel like it floundered for a while there.
You do, eh?
I feel like there was a while where pop punk and maybe emo music, things like Taking Back Sunday and My Chemical Romance, bands like that were kind of more in the forefront. Maybe metal was kind of taking a back seat.
Understood.
Maybe in like era of Hot Topic being the most popular whenever it was, but I feel like now metal is definitely more in the forefront over those things now. So it just flows.
Do you put a lot of stake into the actual performance, or is it strictly about performing the music and putting it out there, or is it about this is our opportunity to really shine and perform for our crowd? Like, how do you feel about live performance?
We take our live performances really seriously. The way we hype ourselves up before the show is we're going to go out there and get in a fucking fight. Like, let's go fight. It's chaos. It's total chaos. It is total chaos every show, which is great. That's how we love it. And that's like the 30, 40 minutes that we live for every day. So, we do take it very seriously, and we try to perform it like every show, every person, every moment matters, because it's the only one you've got.
Now, one big subject that's been going on in metal and rock a lot recently has been, bands performing but using backing tracks. What's your feeling on bands that do that? Every
band does it. We do it. Every band does it.
Really? Yeah.
Maybe not Metallica.
Maybe not Metallica.
Every band, anyone that's watching this, every band you love because I've pretty much toured with every band at this point, whether it's festival or tour, has 3 or 4 or to 5 laptops on the side of the stage. It is not cheating. It's just some music is impossible unless you have a 20-piece orchestra and like synthesizer art. It's like, it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So I think there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And I've gotten that from a lot of people I've interviewed recently as well. So that seems to be a common opinion. Ash, who personally inspires you as a singer and as a front woman?
As a front woman?
Yeah.
Or Maria Brink. Yeah.
Maria
Brink. Yeah.
You guys have a good relationship?
Oh yeah. I love her. Yes, she's.
What about Maria inspires you?
Her commitment to her vision.
Really?
Yes, she has the most conviction in the art and the vision that she produces than any other band I've personally gotten to work with.
I know that you and you guys in Hailstorm have done some stuff together. How was it working with Lizzy?
This is a very common comment you're about to get. She's probably the nicest woman in rock and roll. I've
interviewed her many times, and she's so cool.
Probably not the nicest woman. She's the nicest person in rock and roll, like by far.
She's easily, it's a very awesome person.
Talented. He could easily be the rudest, or the really is talented, and she's the nicest.
She really is. Who are you currently listening to, by the way, Ash? Who you digging these days?
I'm listening to a lot of The Weeknd.
Oh, are you? Cool.
Yeah, I love The Weeknd right now. That's, pretty much The Weeknd.
Just The Weeknd? You're not releasing much in the way of metal right now?
The most metal I've listened to recently is probably Judas Priest.
Oh, of course. Yeah, the new stuff.
A lot of Judas Priest, probably Painkiller, listening to Def Leppard, listening to, that's pretty much it. I don't really listen to a lot of music.
That's okay. It's totally cool.
I get music out. I do. So I
understand.
Or just white noise. I'm just in the car like.
I completely understand.
So much music in there.
Awesome. Ash, you're the best. It's a great interview. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much.
Loaded Radio.